Hey guys, welcome back to YD Classroom. I hope you all are doing good. Today we're looking at IGCSE Computer Science 0478 Paper 1 Variant 2 from October November 2023. I'm making this video to help you guys, especially the ones who are attempting the exams in Feb March, which is the latest series coming up, and also in the May June series. So let's start and let's have a look at the first question for this paper. Now, the first question is about chapter 5 from paper 1, the topics which are malware can be used to corrupt data stored in a computer. Identify tick one box to show which cybersecurity threat is not a type of malware. Now, when we talk about malware, there are five essential ones, which is viruses, virus, worms, your Trojan horse, adware, spyware, as well as ransomware. So in any of the list, if any of these are not there, that's basically not a type of malware. So since you can see that phishing is not a type of malware, it has to be ticked. The rest three are types of malware. Identify one other example of malware then given the part 1A. So you can't include viruses, worms, or ransomware. You can say any of adware, spyware, or Trojan horse. I'm going to say Trojan horse. The next question is identify the type of software that is used to find and remove malware from a computer. A simple question again. To remove any malware, you will need an anti-malware software. Anti-malware. You can include software if you want. Okay. The next question is, it's about binary numbers. So it says that there's a binary number given. You have to find the denary number for this. Easy technique. First of all, write the column value headings. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Simply add them up. So you could add up 128 and 64 plus 32, which is 96. I'm writing them here because it's not a lot of space. And then you also have to add 2 plus 1, which is 3. Alright, or you can make the previous figure 99. So 64 plus 32 is 96. 96 plus 2 is 98, and 1 is 99. So 9 plus 8 is 17. 10 and 12, 227. So this is going to be the number 227. You can also check this because 16 plus 8 is 24, and 24 plus 4 is 28. 255 minus 28 would be 4, 15, 7, 2, and 227, because 255 is the maximum number that can be stored in a single byte. So that is, if everything is 1, you'd be able to store 255. So if you check the zeros, it still gets the same value, and it's correct. Give the hexadecimal number for the binary number stored in the register. Now to find the hexadecimal number, just split it into 2 on the columns of 4, starting from the right. Now you have 0, 0, 1, 1, right? So you basically check that 2 plus 1 is 3. Since hexadecimal allows from 0 to 9 and A to F, so your left side digit would be 3. Alright, and if you take this one into consideration, I'm going to remove these column value headings. And again, I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 8. So once I add them up, 8 plus 4 is 12, and 12 plus 2 is 14. Now I know that A is 10, B is 11, C is 12, D is 13, and E is 14. Alright, so I can just do E is 14 because 8 plus 4 is 12, and 12 plus 2 is 14. So it would be E, and then it would be a 3. A logical shift of 2 places is performed on the binary number stored in the register. Complete the binary register to show its content after this logical left shift. You're shifting it towards the left. That means towards this section. Be careful about that. So once you shift it towards the left, you would basically lose 2 places. So you would lose this and you would lose this. That would be 1, 3 zeros, 1, 1. 1, 3 zeros, 1, 1. 0 and 0, because any remaining columns that you have empty, just fill them with zeros because it doesn't already have a value. Then complete the registers to show that how can you store the number negative 99. Now to basically store negative 99 using 2's complement, the first thing you're going to do is basically write it in terms of the normal numbers. So if I write 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, then I obviously know that since 99 is greater than 64, the first one is going to be 64, then 74, 84, 94, and then 35. So there will still be a difference of 35, so it will come down to here 32. Now since 64 plus 32 would be 96, I would just need a 98, which would be 2, and a 99. So remaining columns just put 0. Alright, then what you're going to do is you're going to invert ones and zeros. So invert ones and zeros. Now what this basically means is that you just change what's 1, whatever has been 1 to 0 and 0 to 1. So 1 0 0, 1 1 1 0 0, and simply you add plus 1 to this. So once you do that, you'll basically get 1 here and the remaining figure remains same. So the final answer would be 1 0 0, 1 1 1, and then it would be a 0 as well as a 1 0. Yeah, it would be a 1. The next question asks us to carry out binary addition for both of these numbers. 0 1 0 0, 1 1 0 0. Okay, it's just to show all of your working. So there's likely to be a carryover. So best to just keep one line for the carryover digits. 0 1 0 0, 1 1 0 0, and it says 1 1 1 0 0 0, 1 1. Add them. Simple. This addition is possibly the simplest addition. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 10, 1 0 basically, and 1 plus 1 is again 1 0. So the answer would be, it would not be 8-bit, it would be 9-bit. So 1 0 0 0, 1 0 0, 1 0, 1 1, and 1 1. Now let's move on to the next question. Alright guys, so now we move on to the next question, which is a user's computer has a central processing unit CPU that has a clock speed of 2 GHz. She wants to change it to a CPU that has a clock speed of 3 GHz. What is meant by clock speed? A simple question. Clock speed basically means the maximum number of instructions that a CPU can process in a second. Clock speed refers to the maximum number of instructions. Clock speed refers to the maximum number of instructions that the CPU can process in a second. That the CPU can process in a second. So basically, if you have a clock speed of, let's say, 3 GHz, that means you can perform 3 billion cycles of the fetch, decode, execute cycles. So 3 billion instructions can be executed in a second. Maximum that the CPU can process in a second. Now, when you change it to from 2 GHz to 3 GHz, obviously your performance of the computer will improve. The performance of the CPU will improve. Now, why would it improve? It's basically because more instructions can be processed in a second. Because more instructions can be processed. More instructions can be processed in a second. The next is that the CPU contains a MAR, which is referred to as a memory address register. Describe the role of the MAR in the fetch, decode, and execute cycle. Now, MAR, it's basically storing the addresses. It stores the addresses of the next instruction after the next it stores the address of the next instruction to be fetched. It stores the addresses of the next instruction to be fetched or to be fetched. Yeah. So basically, you have to fetch an instruction from your memory. The MAR basically holds the address of that. The CPU has a list of all the machine code of commands it can process. What is this list called? It's called the instruction set. Now, instruction set basically contains the opcodes and the operands, which is several machine codes that is the limited number of machine codes that are, or limited number of the opcodes that a computer can actually process, or CPU can actually process instruction sets. Moving on to the next question is about embedded systems, which I believe is from chapter 3. Yeah. So a washing machine is an example of an embedded system. Gives two characteristics of a washing machine. A simple characteristic, it has a microprocessor which works for everything. Now, in this question, I believe that in characteristics you can write a lot of the benefits of it, the potential advantages that you have in the textbook. So I'm gonna say that it is small in size. It's a small in size, and cheap to manufacture, and cheap to manufacture. Cheap to manufacture. The next question says that give circle 3 other examples. Remember that your personal computer or laptop is not an embedded system, as it allows you to perform more than one task, but an embedded system is limited to one task. So in this case, it would be a freezer, a security light system, as well as a vending machine, because all of the others, including your personal computers, laptop, your web server, and smartphone, allow you to carry out a range of different tasks, and whereas this embedded system is limited to performing a set of tasks or just one specific task, not as varieties such as these. Now let's move on to the next question. Alright, moving on. The next question that we have is: a band is recording their new song. They need to consider the sample rate and the sample resolution of the recording. Give one benefit of using a higher sample rate to record the sound. When you use a higher sample rate to record the sound, you're taking more samples in every second, which means that the sound file will be more closer to the accurate. So the sound file will be more accurate, and hence closer to the original sound. And hence, because if you're recording something more accurate, it's likely to imitate the original sound much more effectively, and hence closer to the original sound. Now, give one drawback of using a high sample rate to record the sound: the file size will increase. So the file size of the sound file, would increase, requiring more storage space. Describe what is meant by the sampling resolution. Now, sampling resolution basically means the number of bits used to represent each sample. The number of bits used to represent each sample of the sound file, each sample that suggests, since it's a 2 marker, that suggests how loud of a sound can be recorded. And since it is sampling resolution, it basically means in terms of bits. So example you can say is basically, let's say 32-bit or 16-bit. So basically your sampling resolution is for each of the samples that you've taken as per your sample rate, how many bits are used to represent each sample. The more the number of bits you use, the more closer you would actually get to the value of the amplitude of the sound, and hence it would be much more accurate. And also, it if you use more values, it means that you can record it a much larger sound. So just uses 4 bits only, then the maximum value that you can record it is limited to 1111. But let's say if you use 32 bits, then you can record much more values. The band wants to compress the sound file, but they do not want any data to be permanently removed. Identify any two compression methods that can be used. Now, compression methods are limited to lossy and lossless. In lossy, you permanently lose data. Of course, you don't want to lose data, so it's of course going to be lossless. Lossless data compression. Okay, now here's a question about data transmission methods, which is from chapter 2. The data transmission method, you're basically gonna, you have given the description, you find the data transmission method. Data is transmitted along a single wire. You can see that it's a common trend here: multiple wire, single wire, and multiple wire, that is serial or parallel data transmission. So we can say that for a single wire, always require a serial data transmission, and for multiple, it requires parallel data transmission. Parallel, serial, and parallel. But it does not end here, because when you're talking about data transmission, it always avoids two things: serial or parallel, then simplex, half duplex, or full duplex. Now, simplex allows one direction only, half duplex both directions but only one at a time, and full duplex both directions at the same time. You only want to send one bit at a time in one direction only, one bit at a time in one direction only. That would be simplex, only one direction, and both directions but only at a time, only one direction. If it had been that both directions but at the same time, then it would be full duplex, but only one direction, so it would be half duplex. Then both directions at the same time, that means it would be a full duplex. Then you have multiple bits at a time in one direction only, multiple bits of time in one direction again it's going to be a simplex data transmission. So I hope this is clear. This is a simple, easy thing, and always do remember to learn this, because this topic is likely to be tested. In fact, it's just to notify you that since you only have 6 topics of paper 1, it's likely that all of them are likely to be equally tested. So you can't think that this topic has very few questions. So make sure that you learn all the topics thoroughly, especially for the paper 1. Question number 7. A train ticket has a ticket inspector who checks each customer's ticket before they're allowed to get on the train. Now, they wanted a system that allows the tickets to automatically checked. Which 2 input devices can be used? It's simple. You can say a barcode scanner, because the tickets can either use a barcode or QR codes. So a barcode scanner as well as a QR code scanner. Now we shall move to the next question. So next on, we have the continuation of the 7 part A. The 7 part B says, the train driver pushes a button to close the train door when all the passengers have boarded the train. The train door will only close when there are no passengers in the doorway. The system to check there are no is using a sensor and microprocessor. Explain how the sensors and microprocessors are used to check whether the train door can be closed. Now, this is a very commonly asked question, especially the 6-marker question has been in a trend for a very long period of time. But it has the type of answers that are expected now are a bit more higher order, and they don't follow the exact same pattern. There's some like common, so there's some similarity with it, but of course you're required to use more of complex terms. So in this answer, the writing I'm writing now, it does not follow the previous trend, but I have used the marking schemes from the previous year that had been the whole 2023 period according to the new syllabus to write this answer. So first of all, obviously, this common thing is that if a sensor name is not mentioned, please do mention it. Since here you're asking for passengers who are not in the doorway, you can use pressure sensors. Pressure sensors will be used. Pressure sensors will be used. Pressure sensors will be used. Next statement is that sensors continually send digitized data to the microprocessor. Now, I would put a stress on this point that sensors continuously send digitized data to a microprocessor, because previously you had two basically marks for this point, that is once they send it and also the conversion, that is from the using an ADC, but now they have combined into one. So sensors continuously send digital data to the microprocessor. Here you got 2 points, now you got 6 points. Now microprocessor compares the data, compares the data to the stored values if the values match. Now here you have a flexibility, since there are no specific values which have been told to you. You can say that if the values are out of range, if the values match, if the values don't match. So I'm writing if the values match. Microprocessor sends a signal to close the door. Sends a signal to close the door. Actuators are used. You use your actuators to close. Actuators are used to close the door. Okay, and then the final thing is going to be the whole process repeats. The whole process repeats until you want this to repeat until the train doors can close. Because if they don't close, it's like a looping structure. You every time want to check if there are passengers or no, as per if there's being pressure applied or not in the pressure sensor. The train door is closed. Now here's the whole answer, which would definitely give you 6 marks. Close. And this is from chapter 6. If you're wondering, make sure to revise this topic clearly as well and have a look at these types of questions. If you're doing from past papers, I would highly recommend that you write in this structure, because this would be probably most expected in the 2024 series. Now, the next question that we have came up to is basically saying that draw an annotated diagram that demonstrates the cybersecurity threat of data interception. Now, data interception is basically when you're sending data and it has been intercepted using a wired or a wireless network. So obviously, first thing you gotta draw is your computer, 2 computers between where you're sending data. Computer A and then computer B. So once you have these computers, just draw boxes around them. Computer A and computer B. What you're sending is actually data, right? So what you're sending is data. So once you have sent data from computer A to computer B, you would need a computer A to computer B, you would need a packet sniffer. A packet sniffer is basically like a type of software that you actually use to packet sniffer, the tool that you use to sniff the packets and intercept the data. Packet, I got it here. It doesn't look very nice. Packet sniffer. Now what this does is basically that it examines the data. This thing, it examines the data as it is being examines the data as it is being sent. Examines the data as it is being sent from computer A to computer B, from computer A to computer B, right? And then this packet sniffer is basically going to send the data to a third third party. Now what the third party is actually doing here is just that they're analyzing the data for anything useful. Analyzing the data for anything useful. That means probably it's important information which have been trying to intercept, or anything which could be stolen, a personal information, which could, it has a heavy degree of security along with trying to snip that data. So I hope this diagram is clear. There's been increasing number of diagram questions being asked in approximately every variant. So before going to the exams, just quiz the 2023 papers, and if you're not sure about how to do them, at least have a look at the marking scheme so that you have an idea about what you need to know. Also read the textbook so that you have a clear idea about the thing, so that it helps you draw the diagram, because these have certain things that they're checking for. So if you fulfill any of those criteria, you get a mark, just like an answer but in the form of a image that is your drawing. Identify one security solutions that basically will keep the data safe from data interception. State why it will keep the data safe. So from data interception, there's possibly only one, which is basically encryption. And why does it keep the data safe? Because it makes the data meaningless. It makes the data meaningless to the eavesdropper. Now the eavesdropper is basically the person who tries to intercept the data. Eavesdropper, as they do not have the decryption key, as they don't have a decryption key. Alright, now let's move on to the next question. This is the only possible solution, so do not try to attempt on other solutions, because they have been they're trying to be very limited when it comes down to data interception. Now here they've basically given us some terms and some descriptions, which has this type of questions has been asked in the previous papers. So they're asking us that you just fill in wherever appropriate. Now the term is the collective name for all the web pages available. That is going to be your word, and basically it's your World Wide Web, or you can also say www. A small text file for them that can store the user's personal data. That's basically a cookie. A URL is basically a text-based address for a website. A text-based address for a website. That is it. A web server. So a web server is basically known to store web pages. A web server is basically known to store web pages. Now, what do you mean by the language that has been used to create a website? Examples. Okay, these tags are given. It's obviously HTML, which refers to hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup languages. Hypertext markup languages. That's HTML. A protocol that is used to send and receive, that's going to be HTTP, which is HTTP. Hypertext transfer protocol. Honestly, this is a bit easy, getting 6 marks for this question. So yeah, please make sure to attempt these types of questions carefully if you really want to get back that A star. Stores web pages. Okay, let me add one more point. And sends them to browsers. They can say if requested. That's basically the process of sending. Whenever you're searching or something, The request is taken from your web browser to a web server who's serving actually the website, and the appropriate HTML pages are being sent on the web server to your browser, which then translates that render set and displays the web page for you. Moving on to the next question. The next question that are being asked is about artificial intelligence. So it says that state one of the main characteristics of an AI system that could be um, it can stimulate it can stimulate intelligent human intelligent human behavior. That is basically it can stimulate whatever humans are capable of thinking as. An AI system is an expert system. Explain how an expert system operates. Now, an expert system, when you talk about an expert system, it has an user interface that allows to input the data that allows data input. It has a user interface that allows data input and output. It allows basically output the data. Or you can also display the output of the data. It has an inference engine a rule base and a knowledge base. And a knowledge base. So basically, one of the characteristics of how an expert system operates is ask you a series of questions, and by applying the rules to the knowledge it already has using in the inference engine, it can then provide you with conclusions. So the question that are being asked is dependent on your previous output. So it's basically like a stepped approach. So let's say you answer in a certain way that will lead to the next question that being asked that is related to your answer, the previous answer. So we can also say that it decides on what to ask next based on the previous input of the user, And once you have commented about all of this, we also want to conclude by saying that it provides results or decisions. It provides results by applying the rules in the rule base to the knowledge base in the inference engine. It has a user interface that allows you to input the data and output the data. It has an inference engine, a rule based on knowledge base, decides on what to ask next based on the previous input, and provides results by applying the rule base to the knowledge base in the inference engine. Then let's move on to the next question. Now the next question is about a manufacturing company using an automated system in its manufacturing. The automated system uses a flow sensor. Identify what this flow sensor actually measures. So flow sensor measures the amount of fluid, the amount of liquid flowing through an environment, flowing through a environment. All right, flowing through an environment. The next question is, explain one advantage to employees of using an automated system in the manufacturing. It's basically that they do not need to perform boring tasks. No, you can say repetitive tasks. REPE. They do not need to perform repetitive tasks. They do not need to perform repetitive tasks, allowing them to engage. They do not need to perform allowing them to engage in more skillful or more skilled tasks, skilled jobs / tasks. Now, what the disadvantage of the company's owner to using an automated system? Like, what's the disadvantage of the company's owner if they want to put an automated system? High installation costs, as a large amount of money would be required to pay for large amount of money would be required upfront, would be required upfront to pay for the okay. A high installation cost is a large amount of money would be required to pay upfront for the system, and employees would need to be trained, which is expensive. Employees would need to be trained, which is definitely expensive. All right, so let's move on to the next question. I hope this question is clear. Now, so here we're looking at the second last question, which is about digital currency. Digital currency can be used to pay for products and services. They're often practicing digital ledgers. Give two features of digital currency to other features. That's not including these features. Now, digital currency has been a new related topic to the syllabus and it's covered in chapter 5, so make sure to study it carefully. So one feature is that it only exists electronically, which makes sense since it's digital. And we can also say that it can be a centralized system. It can be a centralized system or a decentralized system or a decentralized system. Now, what this basically means is that a centralized system would mean that all transactions go to the central bank before being, so basically if you send the money to the person, your bank would transfer to the central bank and the central bank would transfer to the person. However, in a decentralized system, there would be no central bank involved in the funds would be directly being sent using the blockchain system. Identify the process that uses a digital ledger to track the use of digital currency. That's basically a blockchain. So blockchain is a chain of blocks which exists digitally, and every block is created whenever you have a new data. The more details of the topics are explained in chapter 5 of your book. So digital ledger basically means that every block has a unique hash value, which is like a ledger because it allows you to identify and record each of the transactions separately, which can be identified at a later date as well. Now, the last question that we come up to is storage and memory are both important components of a computer system. Primary storage is one type of storage in a computer. Give one example of a primary storage. We can say that RAM is an example of a primary storage because hard disk drive, compact, and SSD are all secondary storage. Give one characteristic of a primary storage. It can be directly accessed by the CPU, which is basically why you move the data into RAM when you're using it frequently, which improves this performance of the computer because that data can be accessed faster. Now here is a paragraph about virtual memory. Virtual memory is used when your RAM is full, so random access memory is full. It is created by partitioning the hard disk drive. The data is divided into pages that can be sent from the RAM, which is again the random access memory. The random access memory to the hard disk drive. To be temporarily stored. Hard disk drive. Now, what is basically virtual memory? It's a partition of your hard disk drive, the permanent data storage, so that if your RAM is full, you can temporarily store some data there. If some of the data that is being stored there is required in your RAM, so you take another data which is not being used in the RAM and swap it with that data. That the swap data is basically what you call as the page of data which could be swapped. So this allows you to basically use more than what is your current RAM of your computer size. You can store more data in the RAM than the size of the RAM by basically keeping it in a virtual memory. However, definitely the speed of it reduced because it takes time for the swap to be carried out. It's not as fast as having a larger RAM to access the data. Anyways, so that's it for this paper. I hope this video has helped you guys, and I wish the best to all of you for all of your subjects, including computer science. If you have any doubts, you could comment down or you could email me. I will try to reply as soon as possible. And moreover, it would be great if you could provide some suggestions for the next video that on certain papers you find difficulty with. I try to make it as soon as possible. Have a great day, take care, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well as hit the like button and share this video with your friends who are struggling with you in the subject. Haha, thank you, bye.